This property report is powered by realestate.com.au. Know the value of your home today. Track your property now.
To property now in 2021 will be remembered by many wary buyers as most definitely a seller's market with demand comfortably outstripping supply, but things could be changing. Joining me now from realestate.com.au is John Healy. John, good afternoon. Weaker demand and more properties being listed for sale is leading to some respite for buyers and a more even playing field as the year draws to a close.
Yeah, that's right. We're beginning to see the first signs of a shift away from a really extreme seller's market to a market slowly moving towards more balance between buyers and sellers. And that was the key finding of the PropTrack Housing Market Indicators report this week. And it will be welcome news for buyers who for all of this year really had been facing really stiff competition and a limited amount of properties for sale. So that's good news for them. But that may be the case. But buyers were still snapping up properties in record time in November, with the median time properties were spending on realestate.com.au before selling sitting at just 30 days, and that was down from 44 days a year earlier. But in terms of that buyer demand, when based on views per listing, we did see that fall 9% month on month in November, and email inquiry to agents was also down around 22% month on month in November as well. However, while there remains plenty of active buyers in the market right now, and for the first time since the pandemic began, we're really beginning to see for the first time a huge amount of new listings coming into the market, which is giving buyers more choice of what to buy. And the PropTrack listings report this week did find that around the combined capital city markets, new listings actually hit a 10-year high in November, having jumped 12.5% month on month. And around the regions, new listings hit a 5-year high, having jumped around 11.3% month on month in November. And those numbers helped to drive total listings nationally up nearly 7% month on month, which is good news for buyers, but they do remain relatively low when compared to other previous years. And we are heading into a bit of a more quiet time now for the property market as we have Christmas and New Year's just around the corner. But it is expected that December will be busier than usual given the lockdowns that delayed the beginning of the spring selling season.
And speaking of a busy December, buyers have plenty of choice this week, John, which is set to be the biggest auction week on record around the country.
Yeah, that's right. It is set to be the biggest auction week on record nationally, with more than 4,700 homes scheduled to go to market around the country, which is an increase of 126% year on year. Sydney and Melbourne combined are expected to host more than 3,200 auctions this week, which is more than double the amount of scheduled auctions each of those cities had at this time last year. And it's a similar story in Brisbane as well, with more than twice the amount of scheduled auctions this week compared to the same time back in 2020. And around Adelaide and the ACT, scheduled auction numbers are actually triple the level this week than they were at the same time last year. And next week is actually looking even bigger, with more than 5,500 auctions currently scheduled around the country before the Christmas week really slows things down the week after. And these huge auction volumes are a sign of those new listings coming onto the market following lockdowns, and the fact that just more sellers are opting to take their home to auction during the current market conditions.
And now it remains to be seen what impact this week's large volume of auctions will have on sale results. But how did clearance rates hold up last week, given it was also a big week of auction activity?
Yeah, that's right. And on the auction results available for last week, it was a bit of a mixed bag around the capital city markets, albeit clearance rates remained very strong. Sydney continued its now 5-week trend downwards in terms of its clearance rate. It hit an 85.5 clearance rate last week, its lowest result since January. Melbourne and Brisbane, though, on the other hand, actually jumped up 5% week on week to an 82.4% clearance rate there, despite the huge amount of homes that went to market in those cities. And Adelaide had the lowest clearance rate it has recorded since April this year, as just more and more homes continue to go under the hammer in that city, while in the ACT, the clearance rate remained relatively flat week on week.
And just finally, John, which homes have been winning the attention of buyers this week?
Well, our top 5 most popular homes this week are actually dominated by properties on the outskirts of Melbourne, with suburbs like Eltham, Listerfield and Park Orchards featuring here. All of those suburbs are within around that 20 to 30 kilometre distance from the CBD to either the northeast or southeast of the city. And those 3 homes are on big blocks between 1,700 and 5,700 square metres. But if we take a quick look around now, our most viewed home this week, it's sitting on a much smaller block of land than that. This home has been dubbed Sydney's skinniest harbourfront home. It's an extraordinary home in Darling Point, which makes the absolute most of its extraordinary position with sweeping views of the harbour. It features 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, over 5 levels, and is on the market for a reported price of around $15.5 million. The home even features its own private beach, swimming pool, and is just a 7-minute boat commute into Sydney's CBD for those lucky enough to win the keys on that one. It's scheduled to go to auction in February next year, Danica.
Skinny, John, but mighty by the look of that, and certainly by the look of that price tag. John Healy, thank you for joining us. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks, Danica.